Opponent goes for an instant demonic tutor. On the one hand, that's sort of scary, because that could be the best card in their deck. On the other hand, they're not being aggressive, which is kind of cool. And they're not playing blue, which makes me happy. So I think I'm mostly okay with them having spent their mana on this. I guess, actually, because I have a Disfigure, I would have preferred them to have been aggressive. But playing demonic... Oh, wait, hold on. I want to play you as a bird. Playing Demonic Tutor instead of a creature means their deck probably isn't aggressive. So we're going to have to beat them in a long game, one assumes. Good news, drawing a swamp means that... Oh, okay. Mana War. I guess they sort of are trying to be aggressive? I was gonna say that drawing a swamp makes me happy because I can play Phyrexia in Arena. But if my opponent's actually going to play creatures... So I'm guessing Esper Blink, then, is probably what's going on? Yes, Esper Blink. That makes my multiple choice a lot worse. So let's play the other side of Alrind for a blocker and then hold up Disfigure on the Dusk Legion Zealot. I really want to kill the Dusk Legion Zealot so that my multiple choice isn't as bad. I guess I could choose to not bounce a card. I could just make a 4/4 and draw a card if I choose me to bounce the creature. Maybe that was worth doing here? Scarab God. Okay. It's going to be a problem. And I don't have an immediate answer for it. Don't really want Null Priest right now. I also really don't want lands right now. So we get like the smallest amount of tempo. I'm a little ways off actually being able to activate this Scarab God to fight their Scarab God. But I can play the Scarab God and block their Scarab God, which is probably what I should be doing. So we're kind of obligating them to use Mana War here to remove our 4/4. Oh, I can play Alrin here and name Instant to get the Memory Lapse, and that puts Alrin at a 5/5 that can block the Scarab God. Although if I cast the Memory Lapse, it doesn't quite work. Oh, it's a 1/1 naturally. Right, okay. So it's a 6/6 in that case. That's better. Oh, but I don't have enough blue sources to actually hold up the Memory Lapse, huh? Alright, well, I still kind of have to do this, but... punished for playing too many swamps and not paying attention earlier. Jeez. Okay. Yeah. The Esper Blink deck is actually going to be a pretty significant problem here. Can Ephemerate choose to not be cast? You may cast. Rough. Do you count as a zombie? No. Alright, so I go down to 2, and I don't have enough to activate Scarab God. Even if I drew Languish, I still wouldn't really have a very good answer to this, would I? So nearly all of my good spells are very bad against them. Multiple choice and lay claim are not solid against Flicker. I'm in potentially a pretty concerning spot. Polukranos and Ebon Death are both not exciting to board into against Scarab God, but we do have to assume they have the rest of their deck as well. Hard Evidence did look good. Augur Bolus isn't terrible against Bounce. That is true. But it also... I guess it actually was decent against all the other creatures we saw if our objective is to not take damage early. Valentin is like technically useful against Scarab God, but not really. So, alright. I'm into Augur Bolus. I think that's about all we got here. So I'm definitely not willing to attempt to board into Polukranos. But we'll see if we can make this work. Being on the play will help. I wonder what the Demonic Tutor went and got. The way that game played out would make sense if it was Scarab God, but I hate this hand, but Hard Evidence is like drawing a card, so I don't want to mulligan an 8-card hand. Yeah, the way that game played out, Scarab God seemed like the scariest possible card, so maybe that's what they tutored up, but that might also just be that I didn't have an answer to it. Okay, nothing for our opponent, and their mana does not look like they're happy with their 3-color deck. Our lands make us not look happy, but at least we're not making land drops. That would technically be worse. Chainer's Edict, you're not an instant, right? No. Okay. Acquisitions Expert. It gets rid of a land. I can live with that. I probably should have gotten rid of an island, actually. I should start waking up and paying more attention. I would rather develop a Phyrexian Arena than a Solemn Simulacrum here. Opponent either has Ephemerate or Mana Tithe. Judging by the pause and consideration there. It is Ephemerate. Okay. That is a way to make us discard a bunch of cards. Luckily, Phyrexian Arena is in play. That makes cards a slightly easier resource for us to manage. Suddenly, I'm not so concerned about the fact that we flooded out earlier. I didn't even get to trigger my Phyrexian Arena because it doesn't do anything. Oh, no, we did. We did trigger it. Okay. Well, thankful for that at least. I could cast a Solemn Simulacrum into Karuga next turn to draw some cards, but I think I would rather them lose their Doom Foretold. So we're just going to Chainer's Edict the Acquisitions Expert and have the Doom Foretold sack itself. And the Augur Bolus even hit a card. How lucky for us. Now's probably the part where they like play a 5th land and a Scarab God, and I can't beat that. I also can't beat Thief of Sanity, so that's going to be a problem. Ah, once again we find ourselves in trouble. I would like more removal. I would not like my opponent to hit my Scarab God. They didn't take multiple choice or languish. Languish I can understand them not taking, but I should be scared that the card they took was better than multiple choice. Skyclave Apparition, removing Solemn Simulacrum, makes my Karuga sad, and makes my Chainer's Edict not hit Thief of Sanity. They took Foul Play over multiple choice? Oh, I don't know that I agree with that. What do we have in our graveyard creature-wise? Just Augur of Bolas, huh? That's not exciting to get back and give the opponent another Thief of Sanity hit, but I don't really have other options. Playing Karuga isn't very acceptable. Alright, Null Priest. Pretty sad. Disfigure, okay, Disfigure is a good hit. This Augur of Bolas has been doing very good work, at least. That's a minor mercy. Our opponent's still massively ahead of us on cards. He didn't take an Alrind. It's still scary. Okay, they didn't hit our Scarab God because they're cracking a clue. What does that mean they could have taken? Inscription of Ruin. Yeah, that's pretty terrible for me. Okay, have to keep the Disfigure. I can't let them mill me to death with Thief of Sanity and draw a card every turn. Alright, Cruel Reality is an interesting card that could actually do things. I don't hate this. Hopefully Doom Foretold was their only answer to our enchantments. I'm assuming they don't sack their Skyclave Apparition here, on account of that killing the Scarab God to the Chainer's Edict if I have a land. Yeah, alright. Well, Cruel Reality at least obligates them to spend an annoying amount of mana reanimating stuff with Scarab God that they don't want to do. They elect not to do that immediately. Okay. So they could get back Skyclave Apparition now. How many creatures do they have in the graveyard? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. They can reanimate a discard spell on our draw step, in which case we Chainer's Edict away the token, the Cruel Reality hits the next token. We're still not really getting out from under the Scarab God. We could draw our instant speed exile effect. It would be super cool to use in response on the Scarab God. That's kind of the best case scenario right now. I feel like I should be unhappy that my opponent is taking their time to think about options. Okay, Demonic Tutor. Scary. What's the way to do this? So what are they going to get back with Scarab God here? Probably Skyclave Apparition, exiling Null Priest of Oblivion. I don't think whether I cast Chainer's Edict first or Null Priest of Oblivion attack first makes a difference here. I think we basically end up in the same spot either way. Other than, I guess, if they wanted to do something other than reanimate Skyclave Apparition, this line was more punishing. Possibly. I don't know. Alright. We get our 2-2. We hope they run out of creatures, but the fact that they Demonic Tutored last turn means I think my options are pretty slim here. Odds are good that they found a way to answer Cruel Reality in all likelihood. At least if the answer to Cruel Reality costs more than 2 or 3 mana, then they might not draw a land to be able to cast it while the Cruel Reality is chipping away at the Scarab God. We could also just draw an answer to the Scarab God at some point. That'd be nifty. Could draw an answer to the Scarab God at some point. There we go. Excellent. Should I Baleful Mastery now? We still haven't seen what they Demonic Tutored for, which has a serious chance of being a counter spell, given that they haven't done anything else yet. That said, I don't think that I can afford to not try to counter or kill the Scarab God here. Cool. Scarab God exiled, that's a really big start. Now we actually get to unlock all these attacks. And Cruel Reality is back to being a burn spell? Or, well, is being a burn spell for the first time. Alright, alright. We might actually win this. Cruel Reality might be getting there. Kind of shocking that that's the case, considering how many times we got hit by the Thief of Sanity and the early game triple discard. It's nice to know we can actually manage to fight a card advantage war with a couple of 2-for-1s. I'm going to pretend Cruel Reality is a 2-for-1. I guess so far it's killed exactly 1 card and done 5 damage to our opponent's face. Key to the Archive. Okay, that's not too scary. Even if they hit a Wrath of God, Cruel Reality probably is killing them? Short of them having flash creatures. Woo! Okay. I'm gonna say that most of that game felt like Augur of Bolas successfully hitting 2 very useful cards. Credit where credit is due. Should I actually be playing Valentin for the Exile? Demonic Tutor makes them so reliably capable of finding Scarab God, and it was a huge problem. Do we have anything that I could consider cutting? Did we want to put in the Seagate? No, I don't think so. And it does not seem like we're going to have lands against, or that we're going to have a bunch of cards in hand against them at any time. Unless we're already winning, if that makes sense. Which means I think Seagate Restoration is going to be 7 mana, draw a card very often. No, I think we run it back. I don't think Valentin is good enough. Maybe that's wrong, but that's definitely my judgment here. Okay. Well, Dusk Legion Zealot and the ability to cycle Fetid Pools is at least actions that I can take during this game. I didn't have anything I could board in that was useful against Thief of Sanity, did I? I don't believe so. Other than... I could have boarded in Pelucranos, but I don't see that being correct. Dusk Legion Zealot is extremely fun to play against a Shepherd of the Flock. Alright, Solemn Simulacrum's at card 2. Yeah, opponent's in full-on Blink deck. We could go Midnight Clock into Alrind? Or possibly Midnight Clock into Solemn Simulacrum Hard Evidence? Oh, I get to Hard Evidence this turn because of Midnight Clock. Cool. Alright, that's a curve. Don't have a great answer to this 3-2 other than blocking with Solemn Simulacrum. Or I guess I could play one of my 5-drops. That does block a 3-2, come to think of it. Alright, I would like to not get destroyed by Mana War, but at least if they do have Mana War, that isn't removing the Dusk Legion Zealot block on the Shepherd of Flock, so I'm still only taking 3 damage this turn, one way or the other. Crab token does mean that if I end up trading with this Reflection token, that at least I have a blocker set up for the Illyrios. Skyclave on my clock! No! That's so rude. Well, that gives Crab something to block. And we had the Solemn Simulacrum for this turn anyway. I think I want more blue sources than black at the moment. Key to the Archives. Alright, opponent has mana and color fixing. If they attack with Skyclave Apparition, do we trade off the Solemn Simulacrum? I don't think so. Having it around to draw a card with Karuga is kind of interesting. And we would much rather trade it off with a 3-2. If they attack with both, do we trade it off with a 3-2? I do care about denying my opponent damage. Trading with the Skyclave does give me a 3-3, but a 3-3 isn't terribly valuable on this board state, and the Solemn Simulacrum body, if we can keep it in play until we play Karuga and then trade it off afterwards, we've netted more cards overall. I'm just not sure if that's super valuable. But if they attack with only the 3-2, I don't think I'm willing to not make this block. Multiple choice, huh? Foul play... Oh, power 2 or less. I see. So I could foul play the Skyclave Apparition, play a land, and then crack both clues. And have a 3-3. Is that better than developing our board with creatures? Because alternatively, I can play the Fetid Pools, have more untapped mana next turn, play the Alrind this turn. What would I be naming? I have instant creature, instant sorcery, creature, sorcery, enchantment. I guess maybe I name enchantment because my 3 best top-end cards are enchantments right now. If I were to play Alrind. Okay. I think that's what I'm going to go with. No, we revealed 2 lands and those went to the bottom. I guess that's not a horrible loss. They have... Whoa, they didn't take Approach of the Second Sun? They wanted their entire hand over Approach of the Second Sun off Key to the Archives. It's kind of scary. Baleful Mastery is nice to have. I don't want a multiple choice and bounce anything for my opponent. I also don't want to bounce my own stuff, so multiple choice just isn't stellar right now. Okay. I think we're foul playing the Skyclave Apparition. And then I think we're cracking 1 clue and seeing what happens before deciding what to do with the rest of our mana. We are definitely going to play a land and pass holding up Memory Lapse. Okay, this is working out nicely. We still have more mana than the opponent and more cards. Ephemerate, they say. Which gets rid of both of our tokens. Am I okay with attempting to deny that by forcing them to draw a card with Baleful Mastery? Having 1 more mana would be nice here. I think I just accept losing both of these tokens. I think I value having Memory Lapse and Baleful Mastery in the future too much. My creatures are going to invalidate their board once I get around to playing them, which I can probably do next turn. And I'm not dying very fast on board here. Thief of Sanity. I should probably Memory Lapse that for the sake of tempo. Languish is pretty rad. I think that means that I'm just going to play the Alrind, name enchantment, and if I crack the clue, I think Languish is big enough, or I think Alrind then ends up being big enough to survive the Languish. We don't hit any enchantments with Alrind, so that's a bummer. If their play last turn was just Thief of Sanity, they only have a 1 mana difference. No, they didn't have to spend the mana on Ephemerate. So they have no difference in mana compared to where they were at last turn. I think this Languish is going to get them pretty hard. Alright, 7, which means I think the opponent doesn't block the Alrind. If they do block the Alrind, then I lose, what, 2 damage is what I would have gotten through if I attacked after Languishing. I'll live. Oh, wait, no, now my Alrind actually dies because playing the Languish shrinks it. That's quite incorrect of me to have done it that way. Alright, well, then we're just going to kick Inscription of Ruin. Opponent, you discard 2. I would like a Dusk Legion Zealot back to block. And we destroy the Thief of Sanity. Alright. We name enchantment. We drew the Cruel Reality, but we still have 2 good enchantments. Alright, successfully outvalued the opponent that time. I imagine we got kind of helped out by the fact that their 3-color deck did not hit its mana in order to cast their powerful early game threat. But if we're being honest, that's kind of what happens when you try to play early game threats in 3-color decks. So it's nice to know that it happened one time. On the draw, okay, my opponent's playing Luris. I think normally I would mulligan this hand, but if they're playing Luris as a companion, I think that I'm willing to keep Unstable Obelisk, double black mana, Languish. That just sounds like it's probably going to line up well. The question is, how aggressively do I use this Disfigure to prevent damage? Because using it up means that I don't have an answer to the Luris, assuming that I want to Languish at some point. And it also means that my Languish gets less value. Okay, they didn't end up having anything to do on turn 2, so I'm relatively satisfied. I think that I'm just going to play a Null Priest out here in an attempt to counteract the Dauntless Bodyguard by just trading back and forth. I would rather hold the Disfigure. Oh, blue-white flash Luris. Okay, interesting. I guess with Luris you can have a spell-based top end, can't you? That'd be kind of an interesting deck to build. Shadow Spear, okay. Well, I'm definitely willing to trade off to force them to spend mana to re-equip. We do miss on that third land, which is concerning. Baleful Mastery gives us another answer to Luris, so I can use up this Disfigure on the Brineborn Cutthroat now. They elect to equip the Shadow Spear. The turn they play Luris and then a creature, if we Languish, we're not too upset. Clone Crafter's pretty annoying. Hopefully they... What could they have gotten? Valentin, hopefully. They could get Dusk Legion, Zealot, Solemn Simulacrum, Scarab God, or Karuga. Scarab God, definitely the worst thing for us that they could have conjured. Although I guess they can't activate the ability, they just repeatedly keep getting a 5-mana 5/5. Yeah, okay, I can probably handle that if we eventually get to Cruel Reality then. Lisette. Oh, what do you do? Whenever you gain life, you may put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Oh, okay, well, I guess we're languishing now then. That's actually a really scary other side of this card. Alright, Scrap Heap Scrounger. Malevolent Hermit. That counters my Baleful Mastery pretty efficiently. I don't have double blue. So I guess I'm just playing Hard Evidence. Drawing a card in case I hit a tap land. I don't know if I have any tap lands in the deck. Okay, some blue mana. That's good. That means we can play Alrund later. They don't yet have black mana to bring the Scrap Heap back. If they play the Luris this turn, they're not going to have mana for Malevolent Hermit, which means I get to Baleful Mastery the Luris and then resolve Cruel Reality. They don't go for that route. So we get to pay the student cost targeting the Malevolent Hermit. Oh, they choose not to counter the Malevolent Baleful Mastery. That's it. So the Hermit's actually gone. They did draw a card, but they can't get the Hermit back with Luris now. Okay, well, the plan was to play Cruel Reality and force the opponent to keep spending their turn casting stuff with Luris just to fuel the Cruel Reality, but instead we could kick Inscription of Ruin. I would like my opponent's hand to go away, me to get a lifelinker back, and my opponent's board to go away. This seems better than Cruel Reality, honestly. Hall of Oracles is a cool way to enable Scrapheap Scrounger. It's a bummer they didn't play that last turn, so now it's in the graveyard instead of in play. Alright, our opponent has creatures and mana sinks. That's something. Oh, I keep wanting to play Cruel Reality, but we keep top-decking things to do that are better than Cruel Reality. Okay, first we swing with Null Priest, because if the opponent decides to trade a creature off with it, then Cruel Reality is good. They don't, so I'm going to stop them from drawing cards with Spectral Sailor. Crab can block the Thraben Inspector even if they re-equip Shadow Spear. And now I got a Spectral Sailor to draw cards with. Oh, that's super worth 7 mana. Opponent continues gaining life. And now we play the Cruel Reality at long last. I feel it's going to be challenging for the opponent to get out from under this. Yeah, it's pretty amusing that stealing a 1-drop for 7 mana is actually a super exciting option right now, huh? Okie dokie, where are we going? I think we're just going to face. Hi, cat. How you doing? Yeah? Play Duskleeping Zealot. Alright, come on, buddy. Whoa. I don't have that stuck on correctly. There we go. I think we hold Valentin in hand right now to bump the Alrin. I think we also don't play cards. Okay. In that position, am I supposed to be naming land with Alrind to try to just put as many cards as possible in hand? Can you name land with Alrind? You can. Huh. Interesting. I guess naming land with Alrind is kind of oddly high variance. It's the most likely to hit, but the most punishing if you don't hit, because not only did you not put cards in your hand, but it implies that you also put good cards on the bottom of your deck and filter your deck towards lands. That's an interesting play pattern conundrum. Alrighty, blue-white tiny stuff. I feel like blue-white tiny stuff makes me like Augur of Bolas again. And what are we cutting against blue-white tiny stuff? Probably Valentin, which maybe that switch should have happened to begin with. Yeah, if you're putting Alrind in your deck in Constructed, I assume you have more defined plans than in Limited. Okay, hard evidence. Turn 1. I don't think we're mulliganing that. Turn 2, crack a clue. Turn 3, midnight clock. These are plays. We have a curve. Curves are good. Don't love that my opponent is going to get to start drawing cards with Suspicious Stowaway. My crack a clue plan is worse now than it was a turn ago. That's a bummer. Probably gonna have to Inscription Ruin the Seafaring Wolf, in all likelihood. I don't believe I have any other 1-drops. Not that I can cast off Midnight Clock anyway. I could hit it as figure. Okay, opponent not doing anything terribly scary for turn 3 is nice. Oh, Cruel Reality, huh? My curve for the next couple of turns does not look very good. Would like to draw a way to remove Luris. I guess Alcide kind of stops that. So I guess Languish is what I want to draw now. Oh, the best draw this turn is probably Augur of Bolas hitting Languish off of Augur. My opponent passed and did nothing, huh? So it's pretty likely they have a counter spell here. Or some combination of flash cards. I think I still play Midnight Clock. It's the worst card I could get countered compared to Infernal Obelisk, because drawing cards with Midnight Clock is eventually going to be relevant. But, oh wow, they had, what? They had nothing? What? Wait. I thought the upside of resolving Midnight Clock was higher, so it was worth going for, but I wasn't expecting my opponent to not be able to do anything. Okay, there's a Luris. Then what are you doing? Wait. But I mean, that transforms the werewolf back. More lands. Goodness gracious. Not good for me. We do stop Stowaway from transforming. Unstable Obelisk does actually answer Luris through the Alcide, which is kind of amusing. Playing Cruel Reality against Luris isn't very powerful. But I guess we get to Cruel Reality and then Unstable Obelisk the Luris. Opponent loots. They got a lot of cards in hand. I don't like my odds of resolving anything from here on out. Oh, cat. Cat, you have so much fur. And it sticks to my face so effectively. Is there, like, some way to stop cat hair from adhering to you as strongly? Like, should I be rubbing my face with talc powder before I stream? Is that the secret? Ah, so my opponent passes with 6 mana held up. I could just pass with Unstable Obelisk open. I could try to play Cruel Reality. If I play Solemn Simulacrum, I get to put a counter on Midnight Clock. My opponent's still drawing cards with Seafaring Werewolf for the time being. Maybe I'm just playing Unstable Obelisk on Luris? I'm going to play Solemn Simulacrum. I don't think this is right, though. I do stream most days of the week. Kinda late, but usually right around this time period. Well, most weekdays. Wait, I've never thought of that before. Isn't that really weird? That if we say days of the week, we mean 7 days, and if we say weekdays, we mean a specific set of 5 days? I got a judge call wrong once in a match you were in. Really? When did that happen? I can only think of like a couple of times that I remember going, I don't know if that's how that works, so I'll appeal it. Okay, I don't get to win this game, do I? Yowzas! Alright, cycle, lay claim, hit memory lapse. Let's go! Let's go! Alright, I'm ready to concede. My spirit is broken, opponent. You have successfully blue maged me. Something about lifelink on a dead ballista. Oh. Okay, huh. So if you remove the last counter on ballista, does it still have lifelink for the last point of damage? I'm guessing. I'm assuming it probably always has lifelink. Oh yeah, I super try to be polite anytime I'm having a judge call. I have gotten enough judge calls of my own wrong that I super understand how that works. Do I want to play Seagate Stormcaller to start trying to copy some of these low-cost removal spells? I don't have a ton of them. But I guess between Hard Evidence and Disfigure, maybe I do want to play the Seagate Stormcaller. You know what? I'm willing to cut Karuga for that. Let's see how spicy that gets. How much do you have to pay to kick this? Alright, I only need like 8 mana to play 3 Hard Evidences. Oh, Seagate Stormcaller, you're such a funny card. Thanks, Sabronis. Thanks for stopping by. Alright, we take it to play. We keep it a hand. Cold Steel Heart isn't going into anything particularly relevant immediately, but, I mean, if we're not here to play ramp spells on turn 2, I don't know why we're here at all. Draven Inspector. Okay. Our opponent has a curve. Do I just play a 2-3 to stop the Thraben Inspector? I could always play Cold Steel Heart later, but what if I draw into a 4-drop? How many good 4-drops do I have to draw into? So I have 2 3-mana ramp spells that would let me play the Allrind next turn. I have Solemn Simulacrum. Solemn Simulacrum is like the only thing that really rewards me for playing the Cold Steel Heart here. I think I will opt to prevent the most damage and play the Cold Steel Heart next turn. When I get to 5 mana, I can just attack with the Raven. Alright, we have successfully prevented 0 damage. That's not entirely true. The opponent might have had a different line they wanted to take. I could trade Hako with the Raven Inspector. It does not seem good against the Luris deck, but it is tempo. I guess maybe tempo is what I should be concerned about, because between the Clue and the Luris, I'm not really winning on card advantage from a 5-drop anyway. Also, Null Priest of Oblivion immediately validates my decision, because suddenly... I need a 3rd black source, right? Right. Suddenly I have a 6-drop that brings back my Allrind. That seems great. Wow, this is going rather stunningly. I'm almost suspicious. Opponent apparently has Mana Tithe, judging by that pause. So we'll have to be cautious about how we play out this Null Priest in that case. No black mana for the opponent's Scrap Heap, which is a lot of games in a row where that has been the case. If we hit our 7th land, I'm more comfortable playing this Null Priest out into a Mana Tithe. If our opponent doesn't play a lot of stuff, I just get to play Phyrexian Arena, and that's cool too. Stowaway, leaving up Mana Tithe. Alseid not leaving up anything. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Although the opponents are shields down, do we just play Cruel Reality while their shield's down? I think we just cast Cruel Reality on the opponent. I feel like I'm not going to consider whether that's correct, because it's too cool to not do. What turn is it, by the way? How early did we get that Cruel Reality out? Was that turn 5? Can't kick Inscription of Ruin if they have 1 mana up. They indeed leave 1 mana up. But we drew a land, so I can kick Inscription of Ruin to kill the Seafaring Werewolf. Make our opponent discard 2 cards. Get back all... No. Get back nothing. It's pretty hard to not kill the Seafaring Werewolf in this position. I feel like them drawing cards with Seafaring Werewolf is really their only hope. Opponent discards a Mana Tithe. I'm absolutely shocked. I had no expectation whatsoever that they had a Mana Tithe in their hand. Wouldn't Cruel Reality just kill the wolf? That's true. That is true. Although they could have had a flash 1-drop or a flash 2-drop. Both of their flash creatures are limited by their blue sources. But it is correct that I forgot that I had a Cruel Reality in play, and that was relevant here. Well, we're just gonna put some big stuff in play. I think that's the game plan for now. What are we naming? I have 1, 2, 3, 4 creatures. 1, 2, 3 instants. 1, 2, 3, 4 sorceries. I think we go with 4 sorceries then. Woo! Foul play! Well, my opponent can play a lot of creatures with Luris. What was the other thing we hit with Alrund? A land. Okay. Fine by me. Spectral Sailor. Alright, that's the blue source. The Raven Inspector is more clues. Opponent can draw a lot of cards and play a lot of cards. We also get to draw a lot of cards, however. One of them is a land. Chainer's Edict. Do I have enough mana to do all of this? Foul play the Thraben Inspector. Chainer's Edict away a Spectral Sailor. On their turn, they flashback Spectral Sailor on their upkeep. 2, 2, 5, 6. I'm 1 mana short. Oh no. Alright, opponent, do you want to block either of my creatures? Because if you block any of my creatures, your board gets wiped by this Chainer's Edict. I would say their life probably isn't easy if they're just taking all this extra damage, especially considering Hall of the Storm Giants begins to resemble lethal now. Ooh, that's actually annoying. How do we do this then? I think I'm still firing off Chainer's Edict. And I think I'm also still naming Sorcery. Opponent winds up sacking the Spectral Sailor. But we're pretty close to forcing chump blocks with the Hall of the Storm Giant attack. And if we get to that point, then Cruel Reality starts eating away at their resources very quickly. "21 cards in deck." Okay, there's Disfigure. That'll do it. Opponent sacks a creature. I doubt they choose to sack Lurrus. I guess I should have played Unstable Obelisk first. Then we go to combat. We swing with Alrund before anything else. I guess playing the Unstable Obelisk would have meant I did less damage. I could have swung before playing the Chainer's Edict. I don't think they would have blocked with the Thraben Inspector. Maybe they would have. Maybe they would. No, because they still had to care about the Lurrus. No. Yeah, they didn't really have good blocks. So attacking first just meant that I got to play out the Unstable Obelisk. And it's possible that I don't even want the Unstable Obelisk in play. I probably want the 7-mana removal spell. Okay, well, now we kill him. Woo! Somehow the deck is getting there. I can't really describe exactly how, but it is. We win the dice roll. You love to see it. This hand has a lot of powerful cards. It's missing some colors, but it's got a removal spell in Dusk Legion Zealot. So, like, I think we're supposed to keep that. Can we take it off, Socks? Alright, bye. Was nice seeing you. Hard Evidence is another nice spell to have early if we find a blue source. We found a blue source. Oh, I love when Magic loves me. Our opponent is elected not to do anything for the first couple of turns, which I appreciate. Okay, opponent seems to be solidly in green-white. Chris, if you start first on game 2 of a 3-game match, did you win the dice roll? That depends on if somebody chooses to be on the play, or chooses to be on the draw intentionally. But also, game 2 of a 3-game match, did you win the dice roll? Is that a trick question? Doesn't that just depend on who won game 1? I feel like I'm being set up to be bamboozled. My opponent still hasn't done anything. I'm not sure what my opponent's Cosmos Elixir plans are, but whatever their life gain deck is, I don't think I want it to have Cosmos Elixir in play. We're going to keep chipping away at their life total and play our big scary 5-drop. But you didn't roll a die. We didn't roll a die? Did we not roll a die? I really hope they block this Scarab God. I really can't attack with the Scarab God. I need to be able to block the Elder Gargaroth, I think. Angel of Invention, huh? Wait, couldn't I have Languished and Disfigured to kill that? Definitely could have. Definitely just had the ability to do that. The odd language of MTGO. Now, how does that work? What's the oddity in how MTGO rolls dice, or doesn't word it as rolling dice? So if I just Languish and Disfigure next turn, I clear their whole board. I think I want to do that? What? It does word it as rolling dice, even though the decision for game 2 just... Oh! In game 2 it says a player won the dice roll, but it wasn't determined who was making the choice by a dice roll. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't understand the opponent's concession here. I mean, I guess they thought that because I didn't block with Scarab God, I was just going to bring back Dusk Legion Zealot and that they couldn't beat that? It's not true. But yeah, it's confusing that they conceded that and haven't conceded the match yet. I do not know what to make of that. Are you still sticking around, opponent? We did not draft Godpharaoh's Gift, and I don't think I have an Eternalized creature in this deck. I think we have just Scarab God this time around. Although I did draft a Reanimate effect. We play like 4 creatures. I wasn't putting Godpharaoh's Gift in this deck. Have I even bothered to explain the other versions of Eternalize? I haven't even bothered to explain what Scarab God does yet, because I don't know if I remember. So far, it's been a 5-mana 5/5 that the opponent just concedes to. Eventually, we'll discover whether or not it has other text. Although I guess we did play against it in game 1 and it kind of brutalized us, but that's not my fault. That was the opponent's weird card. nobody reads what the opponent's cards do. I'm beginning to think something strange is going on with this game of Magic. Like my opponent. So, being disconnected in some way doesn't cause you to immediately explosively concede the game, right? So they like conceded and then closed the program. Oh, maybe my opponent had to leave and conceded the game and didn't realize that conceding the game, you then also have to concede the match. That's probably what happened. That would make the most sense. Oh, I probably should have cut Valentin. This card still isn't good. Probably shouldn't have kept this hand that has like 2 cards that don't do anything. But I also sort of suspect that maybe the opponent isn't here, so it won't really matter if my 1-drop does anything or not. Never found a lot of consistency to the timer running out. Sometimes I win a single game, sometimes a whole match. I think it depends on partially how the opponent concedes, because if they do just immediately do the second concede when they hit the sideboarding, then it ends the match. But yeah, I am assuming my opponent is not attempting to be rude. They attempted to concede game 1, closed the program, and didn't realize that they were still stuck in the sideboarding screen in-game. Happens kind of a lot. I mean, like, once every couple of weeks or so.